Hello, everyone. My name is Raghav, and welcome to today's podcast. Our discussion today centers around a topic many people are curious about, but often causes a lot of confusion: manifestation and spiritual awakening. This is not a conversation about predicting the future or becoming spiritual overnight. It's about understanding how these work in the real life. Joining us today is Mr. Alok Khandelwal, a globally respected Vedic astrologer, mentor, and the founder of Astrolok Institute. With over 2 decades of experience, Alok sir has dedicated his work to presenting astrology as a science of awareness rather than superstition. He blends ancient Vedic wisdom with practical guidance, helping people align decisions, purpose, and his personal growth. His work has guided thousands across the globe, make astrology grounded, accessible, and empowering. Our second guest is Mr. Hans Willem, a spiritual teacher, author, and speaker whose work has touched millions worldwide. Hans is known for his deep yet practical insights into the soul, inner peace, karma, and spiritual growth. His teachings emphasize that true transformation begins from within through awareness, inner listening, and alignment, making his work a perfect complement to today's theme. Thank you both for being here. Let's begin by grounding this conversation in simple everyday terms. So, Hans, my first question is to you. Uh, in simple and everyday terms, what does manifestation really mean?
Manifestation is a question of what you want to manifest. I don't think there's one simple answer for it. You can manifest something in your life, you can manifest a relationship, you can manifest wealth, a job, and so on. But I always question very strongly, is this really our major goal in life to manifest? I mean, in our material world, we have been so focused on materialization of something that I want to have. Whilst I believe that it's far more important in life to consider what am I becoming? Who am I? It's the what I'm becoming versus what I'm owning or having. So my focus in my spiritual path is more to become. Who am I? Whom do I want to become? In that process, manifestation, as ever it should be possible, will manifest automatically if I follow my true essence of who I am. And then everything will come to me, and this can be wealth, it can be a relationship, etc. But if I focus utterly only 100% on a certain kind of goal, like a certain car I want, a certain house, a certain job, my ego can become so strong that I miss all the wonderful opportunities life was going to plan and give me on this journey. So the idea is to have a good balance, to be focused on how to become, as well as being open what life gives us.
Wonderful answer. Thank you, Hans. Thank you. Alok, sir, your perspective on this. How does manifestation show up in daily life?
Yeah, so I'm agreeing what he's saying, and for the word itself says manifestation. For me, the meaning of the manifestation is what you are seeing in this life, or maybe what you want to see in this life, right? So obviously, as a human, we can see both the aspect. We can see the inner self, we can see the outer self, right? And both of has got equal importance, right? So manifestation for me is not only, I mean, as Hans was saying, not only what materialistically I want to achieve in my life. It is more about what internally I am going to be. Because in Indian philosophy also we say that the internal self will be reflected in the external self. So if you are say not very positive internally, obviously you will be struggling materialistically in the outer world also. So we have to start seeing this word into a more more broader way rather than sticking manifestation only to small things, as Hans was saying, like getting a car or maybe a relationship. It is about how my self is the Atman, is manifested in this world. So so the way I am inside, that will be reflected. If I change inside from inside, obviously the outside will automatically change. This is what I think from manifestation. And
Great, great.
I'm not a
Thank you.
master in
Thank you.
manifestation, but this is how we see it actually.
I think one very interesting line that stuck with me that Hans said is who you are versus what you own. I think in our
Yes.
day-to-day grind, we tend to equate both. Whatever I own is me. So I think that was a very beautiful line, as you just said. Uh, so my next question is to Alok sir first. Sir, we see many people feel stuck in career, in relationship, or are very low in confidence. So how can manifestation help break that cycle?
So, so you have to see it into a broader perspective. Number one, why you are stuck into a particular life situation, be it career, relationship, health, etc. Right. So, in Indian philosophy, we believe that it is because of the karma that you've been given into such kind of scenario. Right. So maybe in the last part you have not taken your health very carefully. You have not give focus on your health in this work. You were born into a particular time when there can be problem in your body. This is the template so given to you. Now as a human we have the capacity to improve any template, right? So when we start working on it, then obviously the things change, but something there are a lot of things which cannot be changed. For example, you cannot change your biological parents, right? You cannot change if you are born with some deformity in the body by birth. It will be difficult to change, right? So people stuck into any life situation because of two reasons. As I said, number one is the last birth karma, which give them a set of situation in this birth. Second is most of these things are because of the mind. That, for example, if I have a tendency that whenever I get into a relationship, I will be beaten, it's a very high chance in the next time when I get into that tendency, the same result will I can expect the same result. So it's a combination of both the karma of the last birth, the mind given to you, or the manas given to you in this birth. Maybe Hans can add into this. I mean, but this is what I think.
Yeah. So Hans, how do you look
No,
at
no,
this?
I fully agree with you. The moment we change, also our environment does change, but it's only to a limited degree. But we mustn't forget that in every instance, at every moment, we have the free will. Even if karma and fate hits us, whatever we may call it, we still have the free will, not only how to respond to it, but how do we see it? Is it really something negative? Isn't it that I'm stuck in this job right now? Is this really so horrible? I mean, my ego says, yes, I want to something else. I want to be somebody better, somebody different. This is boring. This is bad. Versus looking at their job right now and says, what are the positive elements in this situation? This can be with a relationship. What are the positive? Because the positive is the divine. And when we see that be divine in every situation, which is the underlying, how shall I say, canvas of life, then we focus on the essence of what it is. So we can find the positive in our job. We can find an opportunity to serve, even if we are bored, we don't get enough money, we have a bad boss, etc. If we can't make a physical change because for some reason there are no other jobs available, at least I can change my attitude. Because my attitude, well, the negativity very often comes from our ego. That doesn't mean we should stay in it. We should be open to whatever life brings us. But the main thing is, how do I respond to my situation? It can be a relationship, it can be a situation, job situation, it can be anything. We are asked in our spiritual path to look at how we respond to things. Are we reacting to it? Then we are getting from our ego. I hate this, it's bad, etc. And the outside world is always wrong, not me, of course. So, but if I see truly that I'm the source of everything, then I can learn to respond to the situation. So I think the first step, if I am in a difficult situation, what are the positive things? I think any person with whom I have a relationship, I'm in a relationship, is here to, as an angel, to help me to recognize something in myself. Have I truly recognized all the negativity which that person is reflecting back to me in myself? Have I dealt with it? Have I solved with it? So there's a reason why this person, this difficult person, is in my life. And a similar situation with our job. So it's always a reflection of who am I in this kind of mirror, because we are basically living in a mirror, and the person we are with is our mirror, so is our job. And if we change, things can change as well. That's how I would see it.
Wonderful answer. I think a lot of married people would very clearly relate to your answer. So, hence my next question around manifestation is to you. Is manifestation about controlling life, or is it about really understanding the direction and the timing of my life? What really is manifestation in this context?
With the controlling, the word control for me means always ego. But I can be guided by my inner kind of, if I go within and see what is right for me, I will be guided, and I can make choices and can make decisions which are maybe more in line with who I truly am or who I wish to become. I'm not that perfect yet. But I can make choices that in the future I will be in a relationship or in a job which is maybe more positive, more uplifting, and which brings out the best for me in me. So I can make choices, but controlling, whenever we try to control life, means also we want to control not only ourselves, we want to control others. And that is not very spiritual. I think there is a fine line between surrendering what is and making the best out of every moment. And just understand that everything is here to teach us and everything is here to bring us home. So even the negative situation, which I want to control and out of my life, has a purpose for me to be here so that I can eventually return home from where I came into this very high sphere of being.
Excellent insight, Hans. I think after it's basically the end of the day in India. After a long, difficult day at work, I think your answer is so soothing. So thank you, thank you for this perspective. So what is your view on this? How do you look at this balance?
See, any desire which you do for controlling doesn't last long, basically. Because as a human, we have a limited control. Even we don't have much control on our own body. You see that? That sometimes you want to sleep, but your body will not allow you to sleep. Your mind is saying you should go to sleep, but body will not go to sleep. Even when you don't want to watch TV, your eyes will automatically open, and then you are forced to watch TV. Even you don't want to watch that television, right? So when you talk about control in the life, so in our philosophy, we say that as a soul, as a human, you have no control on anything, but at the same time, as a soul, you have 100% control on you, right? So controlling the situation or the external environment I don't think is the right idea to live life. But yes, when you take the responsibility, 100% responsibility of your emotions, feelings, circumstances, and the people around you, then you need not to exercise control, because the surrender will itself come. See, if I say that if I have a life partner in my life, coming to my life, because I have attracted that partner, I am responsible for whatsoever she is reacting, then it will be easy to accept that partner. I would not require to control the behavior. So the major problem of the life is, what I think is, when you try to control life, it's a flow, it's a rhythm. You cannot control it, basically. Rather, if you go with the direction, the way life is taking you to, then it becomes a very pleasurable journey. And I have experienced this, that whenever I am going to control something, it is creating problem. Because whatever you resist will persist. That is the law of the nature, basically. So, I mean, if you want to get love, then you should avoid control.
Can I just add one thing to here?
Yes, please.
I think there's only one element which we can control. That is our future. Because it's in my hand how I act and speak and think and feel today. That determines my future fate, my future karma, whatever you call it. So I cannot control the outside world, but I can control right now how I respond with my feelings, etc., and thinking. So there I have 100% control, because whatever I experience today, I once caused myself anyway. So now I can consciously, if I'm aware of it, control my own future by living more on a higher level of existence, on a high spiritual path. So there, I believe we have our control, that we can control our future.
And I would like to add
Excellent.
into this. Obviously, yes, we can control our future, but I would like to add my version in this. I think we can control our response in the future, because we cannot control what future is going to show us. But since we have some self-control, because of so many practices, manifestation is one of them, spiritual activities, chanting, mantras, whatever you want to do, we can basically, because we cannot control what we are going to see in the future, but how I am going to respond, that has some control, basically. Some means full control, I want to say.
Great, great. I think so. Excellent perspective. So hence, my next question is to you. For someone with no spiritual or astrology background, someone who's totally disconnected from this, how would you describe spiritual awakening in normal life terms? How does it look to an average Joe in their daily life?
Well, I think there are a few steps. First one is, when I stop blaming others or the outside world, when I stop seeing myself as a victim, I think that's a very important point. When I realize that everything around me is a mirror reflecting back what still has to be cleared up within myself. So, number one, stop blaming the outside world. Don't see, and also understand that the outside world, and that everything in my life is happening for me, not to me. Every moment is a realization for me to wake up of who I truly am. So when I make this major, one important step, and I wish we would learn that here, at least in the West, in the school, that the world is basically a projection of ourselves, and all the negativity out there is in us. If we just would learn this one simple thing, I think a lot could change in this world when we stop blaming the outside world. That doesn't mean we shouldn't make changes in the negativity on that world if we feel called like doing that out of love. But it is always important to realize, if it does give me an emotional reaction in myself, that is a sign for me that here is something in me that I have to clear up. That for me is the biggest step at the moment for spiritual awakening, because when we make that step, then I finally take responsibility about my life. I realize I can't change anybody else, but I'm totally can become responsible of how I in future speak, feel, act, and in the future. So that, I think, is the most important steps for spiritual growth. And then come thousand other little things like meditation, etc. You can do all this kind of stuff, but realizing that the outside world is nothing but a mirror. I'll show you this here. This is my favorite tool here. This little guy here is in the mirror here. It's all the mirrors around him, and all he sees is himself wherever he looks. This is you and me and everybody else, but that is unfortunately not taught, and I wish that is an important thing which everybody eventually has to understand. And once they understand that, life becomes so much easier for everyone.
Beautiful answer. I think, hence, that toy is very soon going to be on my work table.
Probably made in India.
Yes. So, Alok sir, from your experience, what are these common things that you see in someone who's spiritually awakened and who's begin to awaken?
So first of all of us are anyways spiritual, right? Because we are spirits. So we are spiritual people having a materialistic experience. But because of so much of information, actions, thought process, it is a dust on our mind. The moment that dust has started removing, the spirituality is already there inside, right? Now, the most important aspect and the first sign of the spirituality is, for me, once you start the introspection, right? In Sanskrit, they call it swadhyaya. So once you start the introspection in you, that whatever you are doing, what is the cause of this behavior, and whatever happening to you, as he said, is happening to you, not, I mean, it is you,
For you.
it is you who
Happening
are
for you.
watching it. It's happening for you, not to you. So the most important thing is that we need to understand as human that anyways everybody is spiritual. The only thing is that lot of dust on our mind, on our soul, and the moment, like the way there can be very all darkness in a room, right? But the moment you will light one candle, the entire, you cannot say that the room is anymore a dark room. So one ray of knowledge, one light of knowledge can start the spiritual inclination. And I think most of us, and I would add all of us, God gives an opportunity to become again, to know the real self. But sometimes we are not able to listen that calling. Sometimes we are not able to basically to respond to that calling. And that's why all these things, practices, mentors, gurus, all these people are important, because they can make us realize that this is what you should do during this period.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that answer, sir. So, hence, my next question is around this topic to you only. Uh, are there phases in life when spiritual growth or awakening becomes easier when things start to align naturally? Have you seen certain phases in certain people's life?
I believe personally life is not going like this. No, it's going in steps. There are moments when suddenly something happens, like a death in your family. This is a major emotional shock, and you have to deal with this. And in that process, you can make a big jump growth. You can also go down. It doesn't matter. In each way, you can. So life continuously gives us challenges, and it's up to us. But the challenges don't come in a soft, gentle way upwards. They come chuck, 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 and then we have to respond. So my answer to this is I don't think it's gradually. It's just whenever a challenge is there, it depends on how we master the challenge, how we see the challenge as an opportunity or a stumbling block.
Great. Alok sir, astrologically, if I ask you, are there any particular dashas or transits that support something like this? Of course, in addition to the situations that life throws at us.
So definitely in our system, hence we basically read the chart of the person through their date of birth, birth time, and birthplace, and there are certain times when you are supposed to get a guru, you are supposed to get a mantra, your spiritual inclination can start, your religious inclination can start. You can mix religiousness with spirituality, and and how it happens is that when we calculate that time is calculated with respect to the mind, so the moon. So what happens is the moment that time comes in our philosophy, when the time comes, the moon, that the mind starts getting that kind of thoughts. That okay, I want to go deeper. I want to realize some stuff about me. Who am I? What I am doing on this planet? The time can basically dictate us. Time can basically direct us towards a particular path. So you must have seen that the same person can be a drug addict, and after 10 years you can find him a very spiritual person. The person is same, but the environment, the time change, and that because since we are living in time, as per the time and the situation, the mind also change. So yes, we have certain principles, some theories through which we can estimate that this is a good time to get into spirituality.
Great. Uh, thank you for that, sir. So, Alok sir, my next question is to you first, and then we'll move to Hans for his perspective on this. So, how do you help someone distinguish between chasing goals due to external pressure or society, friends, family, versus following a genuine inner calling? We briefly touched this in the opening question. But how do you help someone differentiate between the two? How will I know it's my inner calling, or this idea has been planted in me by the world that I live in?
So that's a tricky question because people don't discriminate between this. They think whatever they are doing is their inner calling. So, or maybe the just okay. So, when I read a chart, so my job as an astrologer is basically two things. Number one, what the person wants today. That is visible in the chart, right? So today maybe you are currently in a time when you need a car, you need a wife, you need a big bungalow. And what is the life purpose? That is also we can see in the chart. Now, as an astrologer, I will blend these two things because until or unless I don't address that whatever he wants materialistically, doesn't matter it is because of peer pressure or only because of the materialistic experience, because we need money, we need good houses, we need cars, right? So there is no problem in getting this. So I will blend these things that okay, these are the set of questions which you are right now coming up, because you must have observed that in a particular time you have a particular set of questions only, right? For example, if you are currently making you have started your own company, so right now on your top of the head most of the question will be coming around your own company, right? Whether I can scale it, should I hire more people? But since I know you personally, before 2 years ago the questions were different, right?
Correct.
So there are some questions which are time based, and there are something which is not time based, which is the eternal thing. So I blend both the things that currently, if you want this, these are the processes to get these things, and on a broader way, there are some blockers which you can remove from your personality, and there are some good qualities which you can inculcate to make you more deeper into yourself. So that's how because being an astrologer is a tricky profession. So that's how we have to blend both spiritual angle as well as the materialistic angle in the person.
Yeah, great. Excellent. I think, sir, you gave a wonderful example of me. So, Hans, how do you handle such a situation? And if
It's a
someone
very
approaches you,
it's a very difficult question, particularly when we look around the world right now, how difficult it is for young people to start to get a job and to work for someone else. In America, things have changed drastically. I would say 15 years, 20 years ago, I would have given the answer differently. But today I see with my own daughter trying to find a job now, how difficult it is to find a job, even if you have got the purest, cleanest intentions. And as Alok it may be in reference to the stars. It's quite possible. I am not an astrologer, so I can't answer to that. But what I would like to highlight is that we may want to look very clearly, what is it, what I really so crave for, long for? Is it just a job and to work and to provide for my family? That's one thing. But if it is that luxury car and a villa on the sea and $100 million on my bank account, then I want to look into this very clearly. Why do you want to have that? What is the emotion behind it that you want to have fulfilled? Because these are only outer things, the car, the villa, and so on. But you feel, if I have that, maybe I'm worth something more. Maybe people will respect me. Maybe people love me. So I would go very deeply into these excessive dreams and hopes which we have, or wishes. And what is the underlying emotion? What do I feel I'm lacking? Because it's not the thing which does it. We have to do it from the emotional level. That is the one thing. Yes, we can achieve it if we really focus with our full attention. People can achieve that and can have the villa, can have the luxury car and the $100 million, and very determined. But as I mentioned earlier, we could have missed our true reason why we are here on this planet. Maybe we should have lived to a small little village, become a teacher, marry this wonderful woman and have 10 children and be happy ever after. That may be our originally life plan. But our ego, our will, self-will, can be so strong, can override it to a degree. In most cases, our higher self, I would call it, always prevents us from not going into too much of course is the word. In most cases, it mentally tries to not get us the opportunity for that car. But our ego will can be so strong that I can still override it and can achieve this. I always go back to the question, why do I want it? What am I trying to fill within myself? What we think these outside trophies can give me.
wow. Hans, hearing you, it seems like you're talking about me as an individual and not a generalized
Yes, the
statement.
villa and the $100 million.
Seems the goal is now out there. Anyways, excellent perspective, both of you. And Hans, so my next question is first to you. It's again a bit of a personal question. Uh, I feel particularly spiritual and spiritually awakened when life is flowing smoothly. Business is happening well, job is doing well, family, life, wife, everything is doing well. But suddenly tend to lose balance and lose patience, get angry, get irritated when things start to become difficult. And these happen on a daily basis. So hearing your answer initially, I understood that being spiritually awakened definitely helps. but what more do I need to do to be absolutely like a rock and be unshaken? What is your advice to people like me? How do we handle this?
First of reason, I wouldn't go be hard on myself. It's life. If you're upset and things don't get, first of all, accept it and accept the emotion in this. All right, I am very angry. Don't say, oh, I shouldn't, I'm spiritual, I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't be upset with the person. I think that would be the wrong way. First of all, acknowledge the feeling. Where is the feeling in your body? And what is the reason? What is the thought behind this? What is the fear behind it? What am I not thinking I'm achieving if I'm suddenly upset about something? So the first step is not to be upset about being upset. First of all, it says, okay, I'm upset right now. Let's go into it. Have total intro perspective in a meditation. If you can't do it right now, do it in the evening when it's more calmer, and write it down in your diary if you do that, and sort of find out, why was I so upset this morning? That is, I think, the most important step in this one, to basically use reflection of what happened, because it happened for a very good reason, and it is something to set us free of something. And very often when we are upset, we can't see it right away. We see the other person who upsets us, and of course he is to blame and he is wrong. Therefore, I will not have the intro perspective at the time. But I can do it later in the evening or another time when it's more calmer. So I think that's the first step. And the whole spiritual path is a very small step. Nobody makes big jump just because you're married and have a business and now everything should float wonderfully. The reason of life here is for us to grow and to undo our karma. And we are here to love everything, and everybody else is here to push our buttons. Without the help of other people pushing our buttons, we wouldn't grow. So that's, I think, my reaction to that one.
Great. Sir, what is your advice to people like me who want to become stable but are not there yet?
See, it's not a big game if everything is going right and you're smiling and happy. So you have no other choice. That game begins when things are going haywire and then you are happy. And that's the role of the spirituality in our life. Now, as a human, we need to understand this. I mean, I'm giving you an example. When you were in college or university, every examination, before examination, we felt like it should be the last day of the life, right? That something happened to the university chancellor, maybe the teacher should die, and then somehow the paper should be cancelled. Now, when you look back to that time, you will laugh on it, isn't it? That how stupid we were. Now, the game of the God is we are a little stupid. We are a little stupid. That's why when we look at the past, then we say, "Oh, how I can do this? I mean, this is ridiculous." It was the same person. Now, what is happening here is that our intellect is little lesser than the conditions which are in front of us. So that's why all this temptation, anxiety issues comes up. How I handle and how I advise people to handle this is there is only one sentence. This will also pass. This will also go. And how it can help you when you look at your past, that you were into so many problems. Every day there was a problem, but you somehow overcome that. And after few months or few days or few years, that problem, which was the biggest problem in your life at that time, looks so tiny. So if you see life in that perspective, that this will also pass, then I think that temptation of that situation which is in front of us can be maintained. Otherwise, also, we have to have a bigger perspective of the life, that as a human, we are going to experience maybe 30, 40 more years. Lot of problems will come. We have already experienced some 30, 40 years. I think when we start looking life into that perspective, it becomes easy to handle a difficult situation in present moment. So this is
Great.
what I think about it.
That's a great advice. It's a very great advice. So, hence, my next question is to you. So, I want to relate spirituality and spiritual awakening to everyday decision making. Let's say someone is going through a very bad phase in life and difficult situations all around, and people need to make big decisions during those low periods, those ebbs. Like someone is on the verge of probably losing a job, and probably marriage is not doing well, or things not going well. So, how do you relate decision making to being spiritually awakened? again, for an average Joe or a daily person like me?
Well, I can only speak about myself. If I am in a difficult situation, I try to remind myself that I'm not alone, that I am surrounded by my spiritual guides, by my spiritual help. I believe in Christ within myself, God, whatever your thing is. So I don't have to make the decision totally by myself. And knowing that I'm supported by this energy, I can also listen to myself, or my stomach, my solar plexus tells me whether this is the right or wrong decision, or whether I should stay away from this. So for me, the help I always found, and this is sort of my personal experience, is the moment I remember that I'm here not alone, I'm here sort of with the biggest force there is in the universe, then I can make better choices. And it's okay if things don't work out the way I wanted, because they have got better plans for me. That would be, I think, the first thing which comes to my mind.
Yeah. So, Alok sir, what is your view? Where should one go for guidance in those difficult times when big decisions need to be taken?
So, so any decision which we take is a blend of two, three things. Number one, our belief that the decision is correct, and then a little bit of intuition. Is any decision has some sort of intuition, right? You have a gut feeling or an intuitive feeling. This is right. This is wrong. And then the most important is when you are taking a decision, the faith. So when you combine these three things, your inner self, your intellect, and faith, then you are not bothered about the result, right? The problem with us is that we are so bothered about the result that we take decisions into panic mode, because we are always thinking about what is the outcome of this decision. I think the more important part is my mental state when I am taking a decision, right? So there are people who have left kingdoms, right? Because of inner calling. They were happy throughout their life, even after taking that decision, although we can think that they are fools, right? Why? Because they have taken that decision into that particular mental state with this belief system that they are on the right path, and the faith in the God, Guru, Masters, big consciousness, big mind, whatever you say. Every decision can be a good decision if you have a connection with the bigger mind. I think so. So if I've connected with myself and the bigger mind, so three of us, me, my body, myself, and the bigger mind, then most of the decision, I mean, should not affect the result of the decision should not affect me. But when I'm not in this connection, then that decision basically affects me.
Great. So, what I could summarize from both the answers is basically to take it easy, and it's okay if we fail
Life
and
is
make the wrong
actually
decisions. Yes, great answer. Very calming and very soothing once again. Uh, so, uh, Alok sir, my next question is to you first. Uh, can anyone become spiritually awakened, or someone is born with those combinations in the chart, or someone can work towards being spiritually awakened despite not having those combinations in the chart?
so both are possible. So there are people who are born with spiritual combinations. Like you must have there are a lot of stories, like all the gods, right, and all the big masters who become god or prophets. Then there are people who are like born with this, so they will recite some knowledge at the age of 4, or maybe at the age of 6, when they are not formally educated. So these kind of people are also on this planet, and they were there from the beginning. Then there are people who have a possibility of becoming spiritual. So a particular time, like Heinz was saying, any incidents in the family, good or bad, any lifetime experience can turn them into knowing more about self. So this is where a person born with a possibility of getting into spirituality and some event triggered, good or bad, right? Or maybe he met somebody who can basically guide him to that place. And there are people who generally don't have that strong spiritual combination, but they can start towards it. Now, what I have found is everybody wants to get deeper. even a criminal also. There in humans, it is a very strong desire to look the inner self, to connect with the bigger mind, and to know the self. So the possibility of becoming spiritual is in every person. It is three type of people, right? One born with this, then possibility, strong possibility, and connected with some incidents or a person, and then less possibility but strong desire. All three can basically go to the same path. But obviously,
Hans,
people who are born with this, they are way ahead.
so Hans, what is your view on this? Is spiritual awakening a selective phenomena of nature, or it's a democratic phenomenon? Anyone can be.
As a whole population of our humankind, it is our goal to just as a whole to more how shall I say upgrade to spiritual awaken. But I would be very careful to say it for everyone because individually it's very different story sometimes. If a person is by nature a very loving person, a truly loving person, it doesn't care two hoots about spirituality. That person is, in my perspective, 10 miles ahead of myself because I still have got the motivation here. I have got my why do I want to have something. I want spirituality. I want to develop spirituality. So I'm still driven by desire. Whilst the other person just automatically is loving, is absolutely caring for everything, for the animals, for the people, and has no idea and no interest in spirituality, that can be a very, very highly evolved person. So the spirituality has become in the Western world, I would say, very much a product to buy and sell, and people we have got of spiritual gurus and so on. But the fact is only not the awakening. The fact is how much love do I put in everything. That is the key because I am love. It's my true nature is love. And if I express love in my speaking and etc., working in my interaction with other people, I'm 100% fulfilling why I'm here without any understanding of any spiritual goals. The key is love. It's always the only way to get us out of this mess. And some people have it automatically. They are born very lovingly and caring, but others need the more difficult way and have to do it through understanding, through intellect, etc., to understand. So these are the two different ways. There's a person who does it intuitively, and there's the other person who has to sort of achieve it and learn it.
Great. Thank you, Hans, for such a beautiful answer. So, Alok sir, this question is for you specifically, and I want to link this to astrology a little bit. We've dwelt on the point that hardships and difficult points, or arisht, as we say in the scriptures, these are moments which give you the chance to become spiritual. So, and D30 chart is the chart that relates to arisht. So, is there any relation between a D30 chart and someone being spiritually awakened, or a possibility of being spiritually awakened?
Obviously, we see D30 chart for the spiritual awakening also, because it is the chart which will trigger the event. So normally, if you see around 40 to 50% people will get into spiritual activities after a bad event, right? After a after an unfortunate event, maybe some close person they lost, or relationship, or money loss, or business loss, or whatever. So yes, Rishansha, I mean, D30 is a very important chart which we see, and but you have to see that it should be in the birth chart. The first thing is that any spiritual combination, any combination to uplift the soul should present in the birth chart, and then we will go into the different other charts and check whether it is a right time to basically uh, when it has been activated.
Great. Uh, so, Hans, a similar question to you, but not so astrologically intense and technical.
Thank you.
Uh, you mentioned initially that we should always ask why do I need something? Why do I need $100 million in my bank account? So, how does a everyday person, or an ordinary person like me, how do I know my purpose, which can actually be a pillar in my day-to-day life and day-to-day well-being? How do I know it?
Well, when we speak people wanting the purpose in life, it very often, and I'm not saying it comes from our ego. I want to save the world. I want to be wonderful. I want to be admired. I want to do something great stuff, and so on. We have to divide the mission and purpose here. What if that is a purpose? It can very often come from our intellect, from our ego, and we have to be very careful. The purpose is basically, to me, in my understanding, to deal with every situation right in front of me in the highest possible way. It's not this big goal out there. But if I deal right now in this interview at the highest possible I am able to, the next step will follow after this, and it will follow after this, and life will guide me slowly to where I have to be. But if I have a too big picture of what my purpose is and what I do, I don't know, it comes too often from our lack in something in ourselves. We want to compensate something. So my answer is to be facing every situation, every moment. Another word for God in my word is now. What is happening right now in my life? How do I deal with this in the highest possible way? Am I reacting or am I responding? And that will carry me to my purpose. Because sometimes a person, and I know it from various revelations, some people incarnate only to give one smile to another person who needs it at that moment to come to another kind of realization. So the purpose for some incarnations can appear very small, but can be very powerful. We don't have to change the world. We don't have to invent another medicine to save millions of people. It is really to be present, to be in the here and now. That is how I would say answer your question.
Great. Thanks, Hans. My next question, Alok sir, is to you. Again, a slightly astrologically bent question. Once someone becomes more spiritually aware, do planetary phases or dashas and transits impact them differently than someone who is less aware or less spiritually inclined?
Yeah, obviously, yes. So as a theory, you cannot change the event which you are going to see, right? For example, we because the because the thought coming up from a subconscious mind or maybe from planets or maybe from somewhere else. So, but what you can change is the response to a particular situation. I'll give you one example. For for example, a father dies and he has two sons. So the event is same, right? That the father is now no more in this planet. One boy can become the asset of the entire family. One boy become the liability of the entire family. He can get into depression. So what is happening? The event is same. The response is same. That means whenever you are close to your mind, you are into spiritual practices. You know the purpose. I mean, you are just trying to understand the purpose of the life. Then the response basically change a lot. So that's why all the speech when you say what impact these practices will give on your life, the response is that the suffering reduces. The event doesn't change. Like something what you need to see, you will see. I mean, there can be a war in the country. You cannot help it, right? But you can check your response. If you are more stable, then you can be. I mean, if you are stronger inside, then you can be more stable during that period. But at the same time, somebody can get into deep anxiety. So spiritual practices and all those spiritual things which we do, and the entire world do on their own way, changes the response, not the activity, basically.
Okay,
And
great.
that's why
So,
it is important.
yeah, great. So, Hans, a similar question to you, but less astrologically loaded. And this will be the last question for this discussion. You mentioned that your solar plexus guide you when you are making a decision, or they're an integral part of your decision making. So, how can someone develop intuition? What can I do? What can I start doing from today, which will help me, listen to my solar plexus and let them guide me? Are there some practices that you can do, or anything? I mean, what's your opinion on this?
Well, it's not the solar plexus which guides me. I just feel sometimes the connection with divinity through my solar plexus. My guardian spirit, I understand it, speaks through the solar plexus and lets me become aware if something is not right for me, or maybe right, or maybe very right for me. So I really feel that I find a connection there, but it can come in so many different ways, which we really ask for help. It can be in symbols, it can be in some intuition, it can be some images coming up, some memories coming up. We can have guidance in so many ways. It doesn't have to be the solar plexus that I only gave as one example. But to have the guidance, to be basically, number one, is to be aware of the guidance and to rely and to trust them, I think. And how we do this here, whenever, very often in a situation, as I mentioned earlier, we are not calm enough to truly listen to it, because very often the life is so hectic around us that we easily reacting instead of responding. So take the moment later on when you have a calm moment, sit down and says, why was I so nervous at that moment? Or why was I so angry about this moment? And in that introspection and reflection, we can find the answer. What was the underlying belief that I had? What was I believing? And everything, all the pain we are having comes basically from beliefs, which we have created very often in our childhood. Sometimes we carry it from previous lifetimes, but these are beliefs which are not mine. Love has no beliefs. I am love by nature. I know. But the beliefs come from our ego. Our ego wants to survive. Our ego identifies with the body. And therefore, all these decisions are differently. Are they coming from my higher self or from my body? And my body is always fearful. My ego is always fearful because it's afraid of the death of the body. So there are these tensions in between it. So if I do sit down and reflect on what went on emotionally here just only half an hour ago, I may find the answer that I most likely have fallen to one of my old patterns, old beliefs, false beliefs, which are not true, and which are not mine, and which in most cases I have adopted from my environment, from my teachers, parents, etc. They are not necessarily mine.
Great. I think it was a very, very fruitful discussion for our viewers and for me personally. So today's conversation reminds us that manifestation isn't magic. It's basically awareness, clarity, and conscious action coming together as we discussed through this discussion. Thank you, Alok sir. Thank you, Hans, for making this discussion so grounded, human, and accessible. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.